Greetings. Welcome to The Spread, NESN.com's Football Picks podcast. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined as always by Andre Cacciatorian on my left, Ricky Doyle on my right, back from a week of giving thanks and eating food and drinking spirits and doing all of the fun stuff, all to return here, some of us from farther away than others, to have a foot of snow.
It's good to have you back in the flesh.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a rough day. It's snowing outside. It's the last day of my 20s, and I lost my wallet in a taxi cab.
This all checks out.
All in one day.
How many times have you lost your wallet?
Well, I will say the cab driver returned it to the police station, and they found it. So
that was nice.
Well, happy early birthday. So you're going to be 30.
30.
You think maybe it's time to get your life in order?
You know what you should get is one of those chains.
A chain?
Like some Jenko jeans.
Jenko jeans, yeah.
Slap that on there.
So the picks last week, week
Marilyn
13.
Manson t-shirt.
Mike, you went 8-8.
I did go 8.
Ricky, you went 7-9.
Okay.
And I went 6-10. So that's another bad thing. I finished last in picks this week.
Well, you'll be a little wiser in your 30s, perhaps.
Maybe.
Tough showing on
Find out
Sunday night,
tomorrow.
Monday night for us. I think we were all in agreement on those two games.
Yeah, we did very poorly on the spread last week, which is
Yeah.
tough because we'll sit here and talk about it on the show, and people might be watching or listening, and then they won't seek out our picks at NESN.com/odds, which is
to their detriment.
where we make all 16 picks or whatever it is. So that's the place to go, and blind squirrels can find nuts there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was what happened in the NFL this past week? Anything interesting? I guess?
Good weather.
Yes,
You
that's true.
For the 1
Four
o'clock
Giants,
games,
Packers.
That's a
you
good
had
point.
the rain.
Ravens,
With the rain in
Niners.
Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, so you had that going, and then they checked in on the Packers
Actually,
Giants with the snow, and
It
it
was
felt like football.
Quite an interesting week of football because
Aaron Rodgers performing that well in the snow was impressive.
he had that one throw on 4th and 10, back foot in the snow. He's still pretty good. But, they're back on track. The Ravens beating the 49ers in the rain. That's a big game. You had the Patriots losing on Sunday night. Monday night, a great game. All in all, pretty good week of football.
And all of a sudden, the Niners are a wild card team.
Sure.
And the Patriots
Yeah.
are number 2 in the AFC.
There's a lot at stake. I think I wrote this in my power rankings for NESN.com. We know pretty much who's going to be in the playoffs at this point in both conferences, really.
Especially after the Eagles lost to the Dolphins.
Right. We just have no idea where it's going to slide in. So we'll get into some of that as we go along here on the spread, where we will make against the spread picks for the 3 biggest games of the weekend, and then we will do some locks and upsets, and then we will be gone to attend to our business.
I need to go to the police
You
station.
need to go to the police station.
You'll go there. Shoveling, maybe.
I was going to say I have to go home and do some
Well, that's
snowboarding.
another bad thing. Because of the snow, my car is just ice. And I need to borrow your ice pick.
Yeah, I got you.
I appreciate that.
We'll get that taken
Now
care
that
of.
we've gotten the important stuff out of the way, let's get into what we're actually here for, which is to make some football picks. We'll start. It seems like every week somebody's got a bone to pick with the NFL scheduling system, but this week is one of those where we have, I would say, all 3 games that we have are pretty interesting. The fact that 2 of them are at 1 o'clock grinds my gears. But we will start in Orchard Park, Western New York. Buffalo, I guess is what you really want to call it, where the Bills will host the Baltimore Ravens, a game that will take place at 1 p.m. in front of a raucous crowd that should be freezing its butt off. We're looking at overcast weather, the mid-30s, some wind. It's going to be whipping around.
Tables shattering.
Just missing some snow. Yes. This is.
lot of
I saw
tables.
some people talking about this might be the loudest, whatever that place is called, New Era Park, has been in a long time, at least
Well,
New Era Field.
as long as they don't
and
do
Orchard
the,
Park, Ralph
what-
Wilson Stadium, yeah, whatever.
Wasn't it there that they tried to break the sound record or whatever
Maybe.
a couple
I
years
feel
ago?
like that happens
and
everywhere.
Flopped.
It's a tough spot because you get open air. It's a lot easier to do
Yeah.
that inside. Anyway, so they're
It's
hosting.
got to be organic too. You
Yeah,
can't, you
I
can't
agree.
Just
Right.
hype up a crowd like that.
They're going to be nuts though. The Bills are, what are they, 9-3 now, hosting the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens coming in off of that aforementioned win against San Francisco. The Ravens are on an 8-game winning streak here, winning by an average of 19 points per game. They are the unquestioned top team in football, but this is a huge opportunity for the Bills to just keep pace with the Patriots, and perhaps even, we were talking about this before we came on air, the Bills, there's still a path to the number 1 seed in the AFC, but they are getting 6 points at home here against the Ravens. We're about to find out whether they are for real. Ricky, what say you?
Yeah, I wanted to get weird here. I really did. I wanted to take the Bills. I think that, especially you talk a lot about that defense, but they've made some strides offensively really since that loss to the Browns 3-4 weeks ago.
Like I said, the offensive coordinator goes upstairs and
It's been a whole different unit.
Yep.
But this just seems like a tough matchup. I mean, you look at the strengths on defense for Buffalo, one of which is not stopping the run.
On defense is an issue.
So this could be a situation where the Ravens come out, they run the ball early, they jump out to a lead that I just don't think the Bills are going to be able to climb back from. I mean, we've talked multiple weeks now about how fast the Ravens tend to start. And if they get into that situation, they just sort of bleed the clock. They wear down the opposing defense. And I just don't know if Buffalo's a team that, if they fall behind, into a big hole early, if they can claw their way back into things. So 6 points on the road is a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the Ravens.
I agree with you, Ricky. Bills 26th in rush defense DVOA, 21st in rush defense in terms of yards allowed per carry. They can't stop the run. I think Lamar Jackson's going to run all over this team. I will say Josh Allen, last 7 games, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick.
It's been good.
He's been good. He's not turning the ball over. But, Jackson's just been better. He's an MVP candidate. I'm going to keep riding the hot hand with the Ravens, even though they didn't cover that spread last week. That spread went up to 6 points. It was started off 4.5 and then went up to 6. But still, the Ravens, they've been doing everything you've been saying.
Yes.
Winning games,
Yes.
8-game winning streak, and against great teams. Seahawks, Patriots, Texans, Rams, 49ers. All very good teams. It's extremely impressive what they've done. And since week 6, the Ravens have the best yards per play differential. And again, against those great teams, they've been able to do that. Why are you laughing?
No, I have nothing left to add.
It's just
I don't blame you guys.
reputations matter. Ravens are reputation is good defense.
Yeah.
Well, my thing with Buffalo is that
Bills, their reputation is crap.
we
It's gonna come out this week.
we talked last week about the level of competition
It's very mean.
they faced this year, and just like the overall combined record and just the general offensive ineptitude of their opponents.
Yep.
And I don't know, like, how much did we learn from that Dallas game?
So
I mean, that's a Cowboys team that
It was the Cowboys. The knock on the Cowboys was they haven't beaten anybody good yet.
exactly. So it's not like they marched
Neither
into
have the Bills.
Dallas
Right.
and beat this juggernaut. I mean, it's kind of been more of the same. So I don't know. I need to see it for another week from this Bills defense before I buy into it because of the as we mentioned, the issues against the run. I think there's a path to victory. I mean,
of course. Yeah.
Like, I think that the Ravens, their defense, for as good as it's been in recent weeks, I think you can beat them on the ground. So maybe Buffalo comes out and they establish the run early because I mean, San Francisco last week they ran the ball pretty well. I think it's 6 yards per carry. So I don't know. There's certainly a path there, but it's gonna be a challenge.
They are. So I will lay out there's another case here, and I saw this on NFL Next Gen Stats where Baltimore has been gashed on runs outside the tackles this year. I think they're the second worst yards per carry allowed in runs outside the tackle. I feel like that's a place where maybe Singletary can get hot. Is looking at it's hard to find those stats, but looking at his charts from last week, a lot of them were to the outside. Not really where Frank Gore makes his money, so I don't think it's necessarily. You're not dealing with like a real spread heavy run outside the tackles offense. So I wonder if they can take advantage of that. I'm skeptical to say the least. I don't have a whole lot to add. I'm also taking the Ravens. I think that this has a chance to be out of hand as well, which is something I said last week about one of the games and I was wrong. So take that for what it's worth. But same things you guys mentioned. I thought this was interesting. ESPN does their strength of victory. The Bills have a 306 strength of victory percentage. Only Dallas and Arizona have a lower strength of victory percentage. Baltimore's, by the way, 504. Only Cleveland, Atlanta, Philly have a higher one. So, to Andre's point, I mean, to beat, what is it? I think you look at it, San Francisco, New England, Pittsburgh. They've been like the top 3 teams in defensive DVOA too. They've done it on each side of the ball.
And they've crushed some of those teams too.
Yeah, they laid the wood to them.
Even the Rams are a great
Right,
defense, and they crushed them too.
Yep.
There was an interesting thing on Football Outsiders this week that was like basically saying this is a season in which you can learn as much from looking at the teams that teams are playing, like the level of competition, like more so than in years past. That like the overall importance of that aspect of things when looking at these picks. And I just think that's a situation with the Bills here, where just you look at that level of competition, the number you mentioned, not there.
No. One other thing too, Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen a lot. I think he's improved. That's obviously the market improvement is there. Last year against the Blitz, he had a 62.9 passer rating. This year, a little bit better, 82.2. Still not great. 68.5 adjusted completion percentage. No team blitzes more in the NFL than the Ravens do. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for success there as well defensively for Baltimore. So Ravens can't lose this game. What's that?
Another 1 o'clock game.
Yes, the second. This is what I think I believe
is
I
great.
mentioned 10 minutes ago. So anyway,
Not happy about it.
we'll go to New Orleans for the next game. The San Francisco 49ers, coming off of their road loss at Baltimore last week, go back on the road to the Big Easy, where they'll take on the Saints. Saints coming off of their Thanksgiving night win over the Falcons. As it stands right now, the Saints are 2.5-point favorites. Total set at 44. Andre, who do you like here?
Matt Ryan ate a lot of crap that day. Huh? He was falling all over.
You're
the
all
place.
about the crap
He
today.
sat- and he took a stiff arm. I'm going to take the Saints mostly because of rest. I think rest is going to be a big one in this game.
It's a tough spot for San Francisco.
It is. San Francisco, I think you're going, as we're approaching the end of the season, I think the fact that they had a week 3 bye,
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's a good point.
week 4 bye.
I mean, it seems like they have a top 10 player on their team hurt every week.
I think that's going to bite them. And the Saints, meanwhile, they get extra rest because they played on Thanksgiving. And 49ers, the
agonizing.
4 games that they've lost, the 4 games where they've lost the most rushing yards were all against mobile quarterbacks. Kyler Murray was in there, Russell Wilson, and Lamar Jackson. I think we're going to see some Taysom Hill impact in this game.
Is it interesting?
Like a couple
So,
gadget plays that the Saints will take advantage of. And also the 49ers have allowed 100-plus yards on the ground in every game since week 5. Saints have a pretty good running attack. It's mediocre, but I think they'll be able to take advantage of that, especially at home against a 49ers team that keeps losing the time of possession battle. Even that blowout game against the Packers, I don't know, maybe it's because they were scoring quickly. They lost that time of possession battle. And last week they lost the 2 against the Ravens. I think the Saints control this one, and they win handily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. You mentioned the image of Matt Ryan eating crap, sacked 9 times. And I think that this is a situation where we could be looking at which quarterback is less affected by the pass rush. I think both teams in that area defensively are probably about even, in which case I trust the Saints' ability to protect the quarterback more, and I also trust Drew Brees to make plays under pressure more. Among 34 quarterbacks with at least 200 dropbacks when facing pressure, he is second in adjusted completion percentage, 9th in passer rating. He's got the second fastest release time in the NFL. Garoppolo, meanwhile, 7th in adjusted completion percentage, 18th in passer rating, 3 touchdowns of 5 picks. Only Jameis Winston, Sam Darnold, Phillip Rivers, and Dak Prescott with more interceptions under pressure. We've seen several times where when you get to Garoppolo, you're capable of flustering them. Where on the other side, I think Drew Brees has proven just really over the years that he's pretty adept at standing in there and delivering throws on time, getting rid of the ball quick. So maybe that's the difference in this one. But overall, I don't really know what the Saints' weakness is. I don't know. They're pretty good across the board.
Yeah, I
pretty
think
good all-around team.
I think they might be the most complete team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. So
I mean, they need this one too because they win this game. They're right in the driver's seat for the 1
They've already
seed.
clinched.
For the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, they can.
I mean,
Maybe that's why they lose this week, because they've clinched and they take a day off.
maybe. I think they have a lot to play for here because
I'm kidding.
taking teams, getting teams coming to the Dome is going to be huge for them, assuming the refereeing isn't an issue. But I too will take the Saints here. A lot of it stems from the Richard Sherman injury. He's got a knee sprain. Kyle Shanahan said he's a normal person I probably would rule out. Sherman says he'll, quote, be ready. Even if he is ready, a knee sprain, not great for a guy who basically spends his entire afternoon running around chasing people. He's Pro Football Focus's number 4 overall corner. He has a number 2 coverage grade of guys who played, I think it was 80% of the snaps or maybe 50. Opposing QBs targeting Richard Sherman, 43.2 passer rating. Only Stephon Gilmore's been better by 0.2 points, so they're basically the same. And I think so. Whether he's playing or not, I mean, certainly if he's not, it's going to go a long way in affecting what the Saints can do. Even if he's not 100%, I wonder how effective he can be. And he is a key cog, obviously not just because he's very good, but if he can disrupt Michael Thomas or whoever he's on, that messes with the timing, and now all of a sudden you're standing back in the pocket, and that 2.55 second release time for Drew Brees maybe gets ticked up a little bit more, and that's where you see a stat like this from the San Francisco Chronicle's Eric Branch, who says, "Go ahead." I think this was going into last week. Passer rating allowed for Russell Wilson and 49ers passer rating allowed versus Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray 103.9 against other 8 pocket passers they've faced, 51.9. So Drew Brees needs to get it out. If Sherman's not there to disrupt the timing, I think he will be able to get it out quickly. So I think they'll be able to move the ball in that regard. Andre, you mentioned the running as well. I think that's New Orleans. I think they're going to get theirs on the ground, and that's Sean Payton is going to sit there and watch the 49ers, watch the Packers film, excuse me. He's going to watch the Ravens. I think he's going to figure out ways to scheme up protection, whether it's through the run game, whether it's quick passing. I think they're going to be ready for the 49ers. And again, it's just a tough spot here, having to travel across country 2 weeks in a row against 2 very good teams. 49ers win this game, it's going to be a hell of a win for them. This is just an unfortunate spot.
It's just the competition plus the travel plus the injuries. I mean, we thought that 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was when they played the Packers, that they were going to limp into that matchup and get mopped up.
It's worth mentioning that. We were completely wrong about that
this one's at New Orleans.
But it's it's three weeks later, and you get some of the same concerns again going up against an elite team.
And so the thing that we didn't consider enough or didn't mention about that Packers game was that the Packers receiving core is not very good. They don't have they aren't good at getting open on their own. They need to be schemed open. I don't think New Orleans has nearly as much of a problem, and I think if they do, Peyton's better at doing that than Matt LaFleur has proved to be. So I just think there's just more talent on that Saints team.
One more thing before we move on. Michael Thomas, no one's talking about this.
He's so good.
He might break the record for most receptions in the season. He's 33 away from Marvin Harrison's record from 2003. That's 8 per game. I think it
is nuts. It feels like
having a hobbled Richard Sherman is never a good thing, but it's especially bad going into this matchup.
Right. I mean, maybe Sherman comes out and just shoots up whatever pain-killing thing he needs to get, but even if he does play, it's just I can't imagine I think they're saying it's similar to what Kittle had. So I mean, that Kittle missed like 3 weeks and then came back and looked great, but I don't know. Something to keep an eye on.
All right.
Sunday afternoon. The fact that this is not a Sunday night game is borderline shocking, but for my sleep schedule, I'll take it because we have the Kansas City Chiefs going to Foxborough to take on the Patriots. Patriots coming off of that loss against Houston, while Kansas City just completely throttled the Raiders. The Patriots are 3-point favorites here at home against the Chiefs. Ricky, who do you like? This is the toughest game this week.
Sort of went back and forth on this, but ultimately I'm going to settle on the Patriots. And the fact that they're at home is huge for me. 21-0 straight up in the last 21 home games, 16-5 against the spread.
I'm going to get this out of the way.
Sure.
At home, going back, this is as far back as the OddsShark database would go. It's 2005. At home in December, they're 27-3 straight up. One of those losses was to the Bills when they didn't play anybody.
Right.
They're 18-12 against the spread. They haven't lost a non-divisional home game since 2015. It's insane.
It's wild.
So I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, so I look at this and I don't want to put too much stock into the Chiefs' win last week because I do think that was like as perfect as things could have gone for them. They're coming off the bye, divisional game at home. Andy Reid always coach. They always play well since Andy Reid's hiring against AFC West opponents. They didn't turn the ball over. They didn't commit a penalty. The Raiders, meanwhile, committed 3 turnovers. They committed 12 penalties for like 100 yards or some odd. So that was about as well as things could have gone for them. Now they're going up against a team that, for all their flaws, particularly on offense, generally they take care of the ball. They don't beat themselves. It's just I don't know. I just if the Patriots lose this week, then I think it's really time to start worrying a little bit. But I'm still going to side with them. I can't imagine them having 3 against the spread losses in a row. Really.
Yeah. Patriots. Look at the Chiefs. They're a big. Sorry, I was trying to find when the Patriots' last home December loss was, and I kept going back on Pro Football Reference, and I couldn't find it, so I gave up. Anyway, Patriots after a loss, 41-16 against the spread since 2003. That's 72% cover. That's nuts. So they've lost. What are you doing this for? What?
Go ahead. Keep talking.
Anyway, I know it's the stats since 2003. The point is, it's after a loss. They're going to be fine. They're going to cover. Also, Chiefs have allowed the most receiving yards to running backs. I think that's going to be a big one in this game. We saw the Patriots take advantage of that against the Texans. The Texans also allow a lot of receiving yards to running backs. Obviously, they didn't win that game, but being at home against a team that doesn't do a good job covering running backs is an advantage for the Patriots. And also, the Patriots have a negative yards per play differential in the last 4 games. They're obviously 2-2, but the Chiefs also have a negative yards per play differential in the last 4 games. So they're 26th in yards allowed per play. Their defense isn't that good. This is a get-right game for Brady. We're going to look at and say, oh, look, Brady's back. Hey.
It's funny that the Chiefs only had 259 yards of total offense in that game against the Raiders.
It didn't need
They're
it.
just taking away the ball.
Yeah. And you're not going to be able to do that against the Patriots.
This is one where,
Also, they're at home. I think being at home is a huge deal. Like last year, they went 3-5 on the road, and they still won the Super Bowl. People forget.
I'm taking the Chiefs because I'll take the points. And so, yes, they've won these games at home this year, and it's hard to discount that. And it's going to sound like I'm trying to do that, but like the Dallas game, go back to that. You don't block that punt, they're still kicking field goals at each other.
You think they'll block a punt in this game?
I don't know. Maybe not. That's not something I would hang my hat on. So they haven't looked. That's the other thing too. Since they've started playing decent competition, they haven't looked especially dominant at any stretch, home or away. They've had these home wins here and there, and they haven't looked especially good in those either. That's the thing. It's just. Maybe they win, maybe they cover, but just saying that they're going to roll out the balls and kick their asses because they're at home.
It's happened so many times before, though.
But yes, it has. But I mean, let's not be completely. It's hard not to overreact to what we just saw from the Patriots, but it's also hard we should caution against just saying that this will happen because it's happened for 20 years when things might finally be getting different. I don't know.
December 6th, 2015 is the last home loss in December.
Yes.
Eagles.
It's the Eagles.
See, I guess where I'm at is that I'm not out on the Patriots just yet, and I'm not in on the Chiefs just yet.
Okay.
So it's kind of like these two worlds are colliding, and maybe this is when the things shift, the balance of power shifts in my mind. But until I see it this week, because I do think that there is an opportunity here for the Patriots to sort of win like they did in the AFC Championship game. Just sort of jam it down their throats. Yeah. And for the most part, that hasn't been there this year. I mean, they haven't run the ball to that extent really at all this year. That's where the loss of Gronk hurts. The offensive line play has been pretty shoddy. So I don't know. Maybe they're not able to do it like they did in the AFC Championship game, but I think at some point they've got to make effective use of their running backs. Whether it's strictly running the ball or making use of James White. You mentioned all the receptions and receiving yards that the Chiefs give up to opposing running backs. We saw that late in the game against Houston, so maybe that's they get creative and get them involved somehow.
Patrick Mahomes playing this weekend?
Why wouldn't he be?
Tyreek Hill?
There's a lot of speed.
I mean, that's the other thing too.
Stephon Gilmore's going to take away Tyreek Hill.
He might. No, I'm just saying.
You mentioned in the 49ers.
Yes. My point is though is that the Chiefs have not performed up to expectations this year in large part because of injuries, but still a ton of offensive potential there. Yeah. So I think every single possession for the Patriots is that more magnified. There's going to be that much more pressure on them. If it's just they have to make the most of the possessions going up against a team like the Chiefs, and that hasn't been as much of a focus for them or an emphasis for them in a long time because you just assume that they're going to score 25, 30, 40 points. The ease of which they score points just isn't there right now, and I think Kansas City is not going to shoot themselves in the foot as much as other teams have coming into Gillette this year. So I think you just you're playing a more competent team with a very competent head coach and very competent defensive coordinator. Spagnuolo on that defense is coming out of the bye. It seems like they're better suited to that 4-3. They're getting healthier on the defensive side. So and again, the challenge is not going to be as difficult as it has been coming into Foxborough in that regard. And Andy Reid's going to sit there and say, "Look, we can get after the offense or they're after their defense with this, and this." I have a lot of faith in that coaching staff being able to put together a game plan. I mean, look at what Reid is doing at times with Matt Moore this season. I think he's a
great coach.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's a good mind, good offensive mind. I think they find ways.
Yeah, you're right. His opponent, kind of crappy coach. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just I'm just taking my points here. That's a big thing for me. And just one more point.
Yeah.
Running backs and tight ends, 10 catches, 101 yards last week against the Patriots. I think pretty good personnel coming in Kansas City.
Yeah, Patriots on the season, the 4th fewest receiving yards to tight ends.
Okay, against Who? Jason Witten? The corpse of
Andrews.
Jason Witten?
Ravens, Andrews, Witten.
Well, that's the thing. This
old Jason
This
Witten.
offense is unlike anything the Patriots have seen so far. I mean, for as good as the Ravens' offense is, it's a different stylistically. I mean, this is gonna
that's the
test the
thing.
secondary
Right, yeah.
in this.
And that actually might be a benefit to the Patriots somehow too.
Well,
Like, who
see
knows?
that's what it's sort of a wide range of outcomes because
Yeah.
I'm picturing like
Very,
you know what I mean,
very
like
sharp analysis.
Well,
I'm with you. No, I
and
get-
we're
yeah.
coming off a week in which we saw Deshaun Watson's elusiveness, not so much the scrambling ability to pick up yards on the ground, but just escaping and extending plays in order to make throws. Very similar this week.
And Andy Reid has said, I think it was Monday, he mentioned that Mahomes is getting better at his maneuverability since he's come back. Like he's getting outside the pocket more frequently and starting to hurt teams again.
So maybe he gets out of the pocket, avoids a couple sacks, and instead of a 3rd and 15 situation, it's a manageable 3rd and 6, and then those add up over time.
So
Also, I could see things breaking down a little
I
bit and
know.
him getting a little too creative
Yeah.
and throwing some picks.
I
So-
just think there's at like one point there's Kyle Van Noy or somebody, a linebacker is caught chasing somebody down the middle of the field, and I think Reed is good for like one of those. That's 7 points right
seen it.
there.
We've
Yeah,
seen it.
right,
We've
exactly. I think this might look a little bit like that, even the Alex Smith game. I don't know, who knows? Because it seems like the Texans might have found something out there with the Patriots. If you can, don't throw at the receiver or don't throw at the cornerbacks. Why would you do that? Throw at the linebackers. So who knows? We'll see.
I don't know. I could also see that. I mean, you mentioned the block punt. That's not something you can bank on. Not sustainable. But I could see a situation where the Chiefs sort of beat themselves.
Well,
whether
I mean
it's-
that's always on the
whether
table
it's through
for
special teams or
Time management.
For as brilliant as Andy Reid is
time
in the game
management,
planning, it's a little
Kansas
more
City-
different when the game starts.
21st in penalty yards per game,
Yeah.
28th in penalty yards per game on the road.
Very bad on the road, yeah.
So I mean, maybe that's. I don't know. Maybe you get a pass interference late in the game. If maybe that's the secret to the Patriots' offense. Is just drawing flags downfield.
That's a good point, yeah. That's where we are now, I guess.
Hang it on laundry.
Well, in that
All
case,
right.
I'll take the points.
Let's go lock and upset.
Who's your lock?
I like the Jets over the Dolphins, 5.5 points. Listen, Jets allow fewer than 3 yards per carry. They're the best rush defense in the NFL. And I think Dolphins are gonna have to use their quarterback to win this game instead of running the ball. They don't have a running game anyway. They're going to have to use Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, very
And
good
I
game
can see
last
them
week.
making some mistakes. Sam Darnold threw the ball 48 times in last week's loss against Cincinnati. Jets will fix things at home and beat the Dolphins.
Hats off to the Finns, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fighting hard.
This is
Fighting Finns.
This year's gonna turn out perfect for them too because they're gonna still have a high draft pick. They have a ton of draft picks.
Yeah, but they showed enough to
Yeah,
show
right,
they're not
yeah.
a doormat.
Smart.
My lock, I'm going to take the Vikings, huge favorites, 13-point favorites over the Lions. I think they're going to beat up on your boy David Blah.
Blah.
David Blah, who actually looked pretty good.
I forgot
on
about
Thanksgiving Day in the early going.
We were
at
all
least.
over that too. Though.
I had visions of him eating a turkey leg later in that day. Too bad it didn't come
For
to
there, that
fruition.
75-yard touchdown on opening drive. It's like, oh, here we
He
go.
almost came down the field
I
and won the
know,
game. He
Yeah.
went down to the wire.
Well, I think he'll get a little bit of a reality check this week in Minnesota. A team that is going to want to avenge the Monday night loss to Seattle, one that we flopped on. So I think the Vikings offense maybe runs away late in this one. I think the Lions, they generally hang around a little bit. They've led, I think, in every single game this year, so I think they'll maybe give them a fight early, and then Minnesota pulls away late.
I'll take the Titans. It's 2.5-point favorites on the road against the Raiders, which seems like a trap. But you look at the advanced run stats or advanced stats. Oakland's run defense is not very good, and they get Derrick Henry coming in. I think it was on Part of My Take. I was listening to, they were talking about Derrick Henry. They made good points. Like, as the year goes on, Derrick Henry gets good, and it makes sense because like the weather gets crappy or you have not a lot to play for. And it's like, who wants to tackle Derrick Henry? Now, the Raiders don't seem like a team that's going to want to tackle Derrick Henry, so I think he's going to have a big game. Tennessee's had turnover problems recently. Some of that's fumble luck, but Oakland doesn't take it away very much, only 13 forced turnovers. They also will give it up every once in a while. And Tennessee's done a good job of creating turnovers, so I think a short field here or there gets them to cover. And it's a big game for the Titans, so I'll
I think
take
the
that.
quarterback change helps Derrick Henry too. I mean,
Yeah.
you get it opens up the offense.
Tannehill's
more
numbers
options.
are ridiculous.
Yeah,
It doesn't even make
it's
sense.
great.
He like a 130 passer rating over the last 3 weeks. Nuts.
Upset.
who's your upset?
I wish
Oh,
it was a late season futures bet on Derrick Henry rushing yards.
Second half.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
at the
right.
beginning of the year,
Yeah.
you could just do a little prop for like
Second
weeks.
half,
Yeah, or like weeks like 13 on.
after the clocks change.
I'll take the Jaguars over the Chargers for an upset. Phillip Rivers has 15 interceptions this year. It's bad.
This sucks.
I don't think he sucks.
He sucks.
He's a
Like,
Hall of
let's
Famer.
stop. Oh my
Melvin Gordon, though, averaging less than 4 yards per carry. So the Jaguars' weak rush defense is not going to be taxed.
No.
And that's why Phillip Rivers is struggling, because the run's not doing anything for the Chargers this year. Also,
Well, that and he's throwing the ball to the other team.
he is, okay. But 10 of the 12 Chargers games have been decided by one possession. So the Jaguars are at home getting points. Give me the Jaguars. Give me those points.
See, I mentioned this in the power rankings, and we've had this argument before, but it's like, the Chargers keep inventing new ways to lose. It's like, yeah, that's a hallmark of a bad team. Like, let's stop using that as an example of them being good. Ricky, who's your upset?
I'm going to take the Panthers 3-point underdogs over the Falcons. The Falcons, it seems like no matter where you put the line this year, they just seem to not be able to cover that.
They're annoying.
4-8 against spread, second worst mark in the NFL. 6-14 against the spread if you go back to their last 20 games. Still don't know the status of Julio Jones and Austin Hooper, so that knocks them offensively. Carolina's defense, a little bit of a mess, particularly the run defense. I think they're like historically bad this year.
They give up 180 yards every game, it feels like.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess if you're Atlanta, you're obviously going to try to exploit that. But
don't know how.
Atlanta's one of the worst running teams
Yeah.
in the league. So I just don't know if they have the horsepower to get it done. Falcons' offensive line, we mentioned it, talking about the Saints getting the 9 sacks against them. That's a mess right now, banged up with some injuries. So in a game of two awful teams, sure, why not? Give me the points.
Sure. All right, let's get weird. Let's take the Denver Broncos to
I like that one.
go into Houston, and let's get weird. Maybe they'll knock off the Texans.
Lock.
Drew Lock and the Broncos, 9.5-point underdogs on the road. I'm diving into the metrics this week. A lot of advanced metrics. I spent a lot of time searching through the DVOA, pouring through it. The Broncos have had a really tough schedule this year. And granted, going to Houston doesn't make it a whole lot easier. It's a decent team, but I just they're a feisty team. You go back to that Minnesota game, they came out and punched them in the mouth, and they've got a similar opportunity here to come out and kind of surprise Houston. I think this is a bad spot for Houston, and if they come out and win this game handily, I'll hand up. I'm wrong, but this is a tough spot. You get maybe a letdown coming off of that game Sunday night, and they have a look-ahead thing. They go to Tennessee next week for a game that could be for the division.
Right.
So this is just a real weird spot in here with Denver coming to town. The Texans also 2-6 in their last 8 when favored by more than a touchdown. 2-6 against the spread when favored by a touchdown.
I love that. I love it.
So
Take this for whatever it's worth. According to Pro Football Focus's
Drew Lock looked
grades,
fine too. Yeah.
overall grades,
Sure.
the Denver Broncos are 11th in their rankings with a grade of 82.8. The Houston Texans, who are big favorites in that game, 17th with a 17.7 grade. So, I don't know where they come up with that.
The point of this show should be to get to like the bottom of. We should just.
But the fact
a
that
web
there's
series on like Pro Football Focus.
and I had to check
we
this too.
cite them like the gospel. We have no idea what we're talking about.
I feel like they were very high on the Broncos last year as well. Apologies if I'm making that up.
There's another one. It's like the Broncos. I mean, the record's not good, so at a certain point, you have to sit here and say.
But it's interesting. I don't know. I got to dive more into that.
Drew Lock looked especially good early. They probably got a little bit of a gift with that touchdown.
Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, it was,
Catch of the year.
caught it. But there's something to be said. You look how that team reacted to winning that game, and they seem like they're in on the Drew Lock experience. So I don't know. Now he's got tape out. Oh, also Houston. Let's not sit here and pretend they have a good defense. That was the other thing too. Is like the Patriots' offense looks so bad for parts of that game. Like I said earlier, if you just turn that game on, it's like, oh, this Houston defense is very good. No, not really. They haven't been good. And we saw Brady figure it out late and pick them apart. So
I love this Broncos. I can't wait for that game though.
So. Yeah, me too. I might have to play them in my pools this week, get a little teaser action going. I don't know. We'll do it up. So that's it. You guys, anything else? This was a fun discussion.
I want to add something, but no.
Do you just want to mention that it's your birthday tomorrow again?
No, I
Yes,
said it's the
circle
last day
back.
of my 20s. I said it's the last day of my 20s. I didn't say it's my birthday tomorrow. I have to go to the police station. Let's wrap this up.
Okay. Well, try to avoid the police station moving forward, too, with your celebrations. It's time to grow up, Peter Pan. All right. Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for joining us on The Spread. We'll be back again next week. Spoiler, next week's game's not as good as this week. So enjoy the football. Get all your shoveling done. And curl up with a nice hot cup of cocoa on Sunday afternoon and enjoy the old pigskin. I'm Mike. That's Ricky. Andre. We'll see you again next week.